let's talk a little bit about Borat 2. I'm not even going to try to say that whole title. Film written by and starring Sacha Baron Cohen as Kazakhstan's television personality Borat. A still picture of Rudy Giuliani was of him showing. I can't even say this without laughing. I'm sorry. A still picture of Rudy Giuliani was released showing the former mayor of New York in a strange position in front of a woman in the film. Giuliani went on Twitter to explain, saying the Borat video is a complete fabrication. I was tucking in my shirt after taking off the recording equipment. At no time before, during, or after the interview was I ever inappropriate. If Sacha Baron Cohen implies otherwise, he's a stone cold liar. So, are you planning on seeing this film when it's released tomorrow? And what do you think about what's going on with Rudy?
I mean, to answer the quick question, I'm probably not going to see it tomorrow immediately. But in general, I'm sure I will be seeing it eventually.
Did you see the
In
first one?
terms of, I did see the first one. I
Okay.
did see the first one. And this kind of humor is it's very amusing to me. It's very it's very tongue in cheek, very satire oriented, of course. And so being able to get through all of that to get to the point of what Sacha Baron Cohen is trying to say about society. I mean, that's just that's kind of what it's all about, in
Right.
my opinion. And he does so by being so out there and in your face and shocking, if you will. So what's going on with Giuliani, whether it's, and I'll be diplomatic about this, whether it is true or false, it is exactly what, in my opinion, is wrong with society right now. And it's troublesome because for obvious reasons, if it's true, then this is why that needs to be told, because enough is enough and we can't move forward if we can't learn from our mistakes.
Mm-hmm.
And if it's not true, then it's perpetuate, oh my goodness, let's try that word again. It's continuing to perpetuate an issue when there are people that it is a genuine issue for,
Yeah.
and you don't want to take away from that the gravity of the situation for them by making light of it somewhere where it's not.
Exactly. Yeah. I agree, and I saw when I saw the picture. For the most part, I mean, without even seeing the movie or knowing the complete situation before, during, and after. I was like, well, it's not a good look in the picture itself, because it's like, okay, you're saying that you were just tucking your pants in, your shirt in your pants. Most guys that and I'm gonna agree with this. Most guys that I see talk about this are saying, well, I don't. Men don't usually need to lay back in the bed to tuck their pants in, but at the same time, I know I've done it before. So it's like, I don't know what the situation is. Is that the way he tucks his shirts in? Maybe. I don't judge. I don't. Maybe that's the way he does it. But this could just be just like what Rudy said. He It could be that innocent, and but the still image just caught him at a bad angle or bad moment, and you can fill in the blanks however you want, and 50, half of the people are going to believe it, other half aren't. So I I just hope that a lesson is learned from this situation. Just don't tuck your pants and your shirt in front of other people. Just
Well,
go,
yeah,
go to
it's,
another room.
especially because there were other people in the room, and I think like when you are a public figure and you are there's a certain responsibility that comes with being in the public eye, and
Yes.
being able to understand the tact of how to handle yourself in certain situations, I think is really important. Was
Yes.
he trying to tuck in his shirt? We don't know because none of us were there. Does it look weird? Yeah,
Yes.
absolutely. I know sometimes I try to get my jeans on when I take them out of the dryer and I have to hop all over the bed to do it. So it's like, there are certain things that can be taken out of context that look questionable. And I think in today's climate, we're very quick to, put a label on that so that it's easily filed away
Right.
somewhere that's comfortable for us to point a finger at. And that's what I mean by like, if it's true, then it's proof that it's still an issue in our world and we still haven't addressed it. And if it's not true, then we're disassociated with the gravity of what that could have actually been.
Right. I agree. And at the end of the day, this story is it's gonna be nothing. Whether true or not, it's like a wash in a way, because everybody knows that Sasha Baron Cohen. I'm not butchering it, but we know that he is the kind of guy who likes to get people in these gotcha moments.
Hmm.
At the same time, he is very good at getting people to, I guess, like, I don't know, expose themselves. Like, he'll put the trap out there, but you going into it usually is 100% you're doing. Like, it's kind of course he's setting people up, but
Yeah.
he sometimes it's a setup, but sometimes it's just a cliff that you kind of walked in, like a trap that you kind of walked in to yourself. But what you said was perfect. It's like, after this long, since being the mayor of New York and then running for president, and all in his whole career, especially where he's at now, he's got to know by now that, or at least me, if I was Rudy, I'd be 10 times more paranoid than he probably is that everything is probably a gotcha situation. That Sasha is probably somewhere in the room at all times. That's how I would be if I was him. So would I tuck my shirt in front of another lady that I don't know really well, that's not my wife, and do that in front of her? No. So
Mm-mm.
the
And
argument is gonna go back and forth.
questionable things that they caught on camera and on sound before that moment happened, which further, made him culpable in the situation. But
Yeah. No, you're right. I guess. Well, I'm gonna be there day one. It's streaming on like Amazon Prime, and of course, I know Sasha is gonna he's gonna cut it to where it's the most entertaining and the most funny,
sure.
and I'm probably gonna laugh my butt off. But I'm gonna try to be fair. I'm like, dude, you probably just put yourself in a bad situation, and it's gonna be hard to talk. You know what? Let me play devil's advocate. Let me work for Rudy for a second. You're in one of those situations now where you're probably telling 100% the truth. You're probably 100% being honest, but your wife is looking at you with that look, and it's like, just but you shouldn't have had your ass in this situation in the first place, and it's
And
so hard to get out of that room.
I know, I know, and
That's
that's
the
something
problem.
he just has to deal with. If whether it's true or not, he still has to deal with the
the,
repercussions.
the consequence. So,
Yeah.
there's a question for you. Have you ever been in that situation where either you or maybe somebody else, or where, even though they were telling the truth, or maybe later you found out they were telling the truth, or maybe you were in a situation where nobody believed you? Are what is your reaction when something like that happens? Something crazy happens. You're trying to explain your way out of it. No, obviously you feel like nobody's believing you. How do you respond to that? Do you just double down? Do you just throw your hands up and give up and just walk away? Like, how do you handle moments like that? And how do you respond to moments like that?
I mean, I'm sure there's been situations like that, and I know that I've been in those sorts of conversations with other people. And I think at the end of the day, as long as you're acting with the integrity that you want to put out into the world, and you're doing the right thing. Mistakes happen, people are human, and I think as long as you're open and forthcoming with certain things and having a conversation about the truth of the matter, people will respect that. And you can smell honesty on people, and you
Yeah.
can smell when somebody's trying to weasel their way out of a certain conversation or situation. And I'm a big proponent of, I would rather know the full dirty ugly truth than to be the only one in the room who doesn't know all of the information. So
Right.
I try to live my life that way, because I expect that of other people.
So I agree, and it's just, could you imagine when he came home that day, like, honey, honey, okay, so there's a movie that's about to come out where oh my god, that I would have loved to have been a fly on the wall when that conversation, because he probably had to
Awkward
explain it.
Thanksgiving dinner, that's for sure.
That's so awkward. So you're right. This depends on, I guess, his karma, how much he's dipped in that well, and how, and it just, I guess, how trustworthy, I guess, I guess he is. So I guess to the people he has to explain it to. So
Mhm.
I don't know. I guess it depends on how many times as this happened. I don't know. I'm not gonna look into Giuliani's scandals. I'm not. I don't really care. but 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 you're right. It depends on if he's the type of guy that's easily put in this position a lot. I'm sure his family is like, either that's just Rudy, or yeah, that's Rudy, and I'm sick of it. So it's gonna be one or the other. So good luck, man. I hope it doesn't. I hope.
There's a certain air of entitlement sometimes, and that's the trouble with public figures or even Hollywood, and
Yeah.
gets a lot of people into trouble when it comes to life and relationships and all that jazz.